Hello, welcome to my presentation on the Air Attack 410, the firefighting air crash. I'll be talking a little bit about um, the crash that happened and kind of go into a little more detail um, of exactly what happened during the event. So just before we get into it too much, I want to talk a little bit about like what firefighting airplanes do. Obviously they're filled with water and they're used to combat, fires all across the world. They usually have two people on board, the pilot and then the water releasing um, person who usually handles, obviously releasing the water at the proper timings. So just to kind of dive in about, who was on board and um, people that were involved. There was a 52-year-old man. His name was George, went by Sandy Willett. He was the pilot, and then the 36-year-old as well. He was Battalion Chief Robert Stone. He was the tactical group, and then yeah. So both were married. I think the battalion chief, he actually had two children. I think they were about 8 and 4. And then kind of the locations, obviously I put on here what the Google map. That way it gives you a good idea. Utah's up here, St. George. It gives you a good idea of geographically where the location and crash happened. So perfect. So yeah, diving straight into kind of what happened and the dates and so forth that happened on September 6th. I'm sorry, September 3rd, 2006. It was at 737 Emergency Command Center of California Department. Received two reports about fires, and about 8:15 that same day, the commander sent an initial attack response. And after that, what happened was there was around 3:35, there was another report of a fire, which was named Jaguar Fire. Air Attack 410 was assigned to Jaguar Fire and dispatched at it was around 3:37. And then, so this is kind of just a map of that way. It shows you kind of the crash site. Springville, Porterville, kind of talks about Porterville Air Attack Base, and then kind of gives you a legend. I'm going to be talking just as you guys can see visually the legends in that. Excuse me. And then as we dive in, those are the three fires that we talked about. A little after 8, the battalion chief Stone and division Chief Kirk decided to use the forward-looking infrared equipped on the AirTac 410 airplane to scout the area for more fires. So obviously to see if there were additional fires in addition to the ones that have already been reported. Pilot Willett performed his standard morning check of the air attack, and everything checked off. Everything was fine, and so I guess kind of they don't have the accident approximately was right around 10:40 or so a.m. and it was against some trees in the mountains train, and so they weren't sure if it was just the train came up onto them too quick. But the fire was caused by the crash, covering the fuselage in flames, so meaning the body of the airplane. Um, and then uh, they found the bodies in the plane, and from there, they were kind of thinking, well, what happened? Like, were there witnesses? And they say that the Willet was flying a little too low, I guess, and so that's kind of what they assumed. And they didn't find any signs of any drugs or anything like that. They did come to a conclusion though that there was a person, his name Patrick Courtney. He was arrested. He had the connections. He was he was charged with homicide, and he was also connected with the three fires mentioned in the story that I kind of reviewed with you in the previous map. But yeah, so briefly, that's just to short little explanation of what happened and kind of what went down with the Air Attack 410. So I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you learned something and I didn't bore you too much.